get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello, BYWG tribe. Here's a quick peek at our supplement, product, course, and book of the month for June 2020. At the end of the podcast, I will spend a few minutes going into further details, so we encourage you to listen to the end. The supplement of the month for June is Turmeric Boost. This is our very own BCM 95 highly absorbable form of turmeric. The 10% discount code in office or online is DFLAME10, case sensitive. Our book of the month is Sacred Cow, Why Well-Raised Meat is Good for You and Good for the Planet by Diana Rogers and Rob Wolf. The product, well, it's actually a course, of the month is Lifebook. Lifebook is a one-of-a-kind lifestyle design system that guides you toward your personal vision of success in a 12 dimensions of your life. All the links, discount codes, and special offers for the product, supplement, and book will be listed in the show notes and iTunes, posted on social media, in our weekly newsletter, and at our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com at the Listen Now tab. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Noah and Dr. Mike, 2/3 of your BYWG team. This week, we are your podcast guests, as we do every single month, the first Monday of every month, where we take a highlighted look at one of our premium supplements. And this month for June 2020 is Turmeric Boost.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. I'm your co-host today, Dr. Mike Akinfora, and I am thrilled to have our very first guest on the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast, Amanda Campbell, back on the show. 5 years ago, we introduced her, and it was played, it ran on October 11th, 2015. Amanda's been back on once before, but we're always thrilled to talk to her as she is down in Australia. And I want to read you her bio, and then we're going to get into it. So at the age of 24, Amanda was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a debilitating, incurable disease that renders its sufferers prone to paralysis, nerve damage, and in some cases, blindness. Amanda suffered a major MS attack in 2009 that left her paralyzed down the entire left side of her body. Unable to move, eat, walk, or control her own body, Amanda was given only a 50% chance of ever walking again. With no choice but to succeed, Amanda channeled her energy into a positive force. With a mountain of determination and the aid of Eastern and Western medicines, Amanda astounded everyone by not only walking unaided, but running again. In 2013, Amanda founded Bend Like Bamboo, and now one of Australia's leading kinesiology practices, delivering programs designed to optimize health and resilience. Today, Amanda dedicates her time to helping others rebuild their lives after illness, trauma, and stress, specializing in autoimmune disorders, emotional links to disease, and physical stress. At her core, Amanda believes that renewal can be possible when the mind and body are given the right environment to repair. Amanda, welcome back to the show. It's a thrill.
Oh, Michael, what a beautiful introduction. It's such a pleasure to be back.
Amazing. We are on opposite sides of the world, and we get to talk like you're next door.
I know the power of technology, and I always love chatting to you. This is so aligned, and I love your work, and yeah, it's just we're all going through so much right now, aren't we?
We really are. It's a time. It's a time like no other for basically anyone that's been alive in the world today. You know, the folks that were alive during the 1918 pandemic, they were babies if they were. Like we have no context. We don't know. Like we're in isolation. We're doing all these things. So it's a really unique time in the world.
I agree, but what an amazing opportunity to reset and to reflect and to transform and rewire anything that needs moving, because we're usually too busy in our everyday lives to address those shadow aspects or even the positive things that we want to bring into our lives. It's always there's an excuse, or we're too busy, there's not enough time. And the one thing I'm certainly grateful for the past 7-8 weeks is that, I have been gifted this time to do some self-inner work, which, I'm always doing lots of inner work. I'm a kinesiologist, I'm a speaker, it's my passion, it's my thing. I help other people with that every single day. So I love doing the work, but there was more work to be done, as it turns out.
Absolutely. And for somebody like myself as well, I'm so used to driving and going and CEO of two businesses that it really gave me that opportunity to actually be still.
Yes.
And that's never happened. I don't ever. So it allows us, like you said, to reflect, and there's a certain part of it where you feel like a phoenix, like you recreate yourself. So it's really interesting.
Totally agree. And as we were just chatting before we started recording, like this time, luckily I had a base, some sort of a base to this, because when I was paralyzed and I had to live in hospital in the rehabilitation centre 11 years ago now, I had to live there for about 2 months. So it was very similar to what we're going through now in terms of a massive transformation, where I couldn't leave the quarters because my body didn't enable me to. And then, I had to shift a lot of stuff, dark night of the soul, and I had to become a whole new version of myself to create that. Inevitably, luckily for me, ended up leading to healing in my mind and body.
It's amazing, because not only when you went through that and you popped out the other side, it wasn't just the healing of yourself. There were seeds during that time that you were planting to help others.
Yes.
And I think that's a huge reset, because you could have gone about your business and popped out the other side and continued on your journey without even that aspect of it. But there was something in there within you, I think, during that time that was, okay, I've got to do more. I've got to be more to more people. And, not my journey over this past, for us, it's going on March to April to May. It's over 8 weeks. It was the same feeling of rebirth, having been in the hospital with double pneumonia and COVID-19. I tested positive. We believe one of our patients gave us, but we had no idea. But it really allowed for me, for the first time in my life, to actually sit down and take a moment and reflect. And that's never happened before for me. It's always been just put your head down and drive the bus, keep going. So talk to me about what this looks like for you going forward.
Yeah, oh gosh, that must have been such an experience, Michael. Like, I feel you. I really think that we're all going through stuff, and I think that we're all now coming out of this of period of isolation. And I tell you what, having gone through what I've gone through, and you might feel the same after what you've just been through, which was massive, Michael. I think that initially there's that stage of fear and total survival mode that we go into, because we're either in one or two pathways, predominantly survival and stress, or growth and repair. So straight away we all went straight into survival of, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to get through this? I need to make sure I'm okay. Life or death thoughts, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so now, once we work through that and we go through all the motions, this is how I define resilience. I define resilience is in, any setbacks that we have to go through or that comes into our lives, which is totally out of our control. Once we can find the flexibility to allow ourselves to go through that, the people that we become allows us to transform so much of our lives. And we can transform our thoughts, our mindset. We can bring in healing in the body. And coming out of this time, out of survival, there is because the parapolarity, right? So life's been pretty hard. Mm-hmm. There's been some pretty tough things that we've all gone through. But the resilience that is building up within you, there are rewards. So coming out of this time, I'm really excited because I know what's coming. I've kind of the joy that we're all going to experience when, now we're going to be grateful for the little things again because we've lost so much. We've lost the ability to simply hug each other and be close to each other. We've lost enormous things like, our ability to provide for ourselves and to bring in, finances and, all those important things as well. And I think that a lot of us will be connecting deeper in our relationships depending on who we've isolated with, or we might actually have decided upon reflection that we're not around the people that we want to be with. There's going to be so many breakups and so many babies. Apparently that's the discussion with the isolation. But the key is we're becoming a whole new version of ourselves. And I'm a huge believer that is the journey of life. And the more that we can find flexibility in how we handle that, the less suffering we have to go through. And that's really the concept of why I created Bend Like Bamboo. Bending like bamboo is the ability to bend in times of change. And, there's change that occurs in every day of our lives. But then there's those bigger times of change. There's, period, like maybe every 10 years we will go through enormous transformation in our lives. That's usually bigger than the everyday change that we tend to experience. And the more we can find that inner anchor within ourselves, think of an analogy of a tree where it is anchored, and because of the anchor, the ability for the tree to be flexible, and with bamboo, of course, the ability for bamboo to bend in direct proportion to the wind without snapping is because of the flexibility. And when we're more flexible and resilient, we can adapt in times of change. We can rise above our circumstances. We can see our situation with fresh eyes. We can feel differently about our situation as a result. And our thoughts and how we feel is a direct relationship to our biochemistry, whether we're promoting more stress and inflammation in our body, where we're more susceptible to colds and flus and diseases, and more stress, of course, or whether we're building that resilience and anchor within ourselves, which I really believe protects us. It boosts our immunity. We're able to release more stress. Our body's not busy trying to deal with how frightened we are. Right. And so rising above our circumstances and our fears and transforming our fears into more wisdom requires that anchor within ourselves, which has a lot to do with you don't get to that until you go through the stuff. You Correct. Have to go through the hard stuff to build the resilience. You can't teach it. You can't read a book and just learn it. You have to go through it. And we've all just done that. And that's why I'm really excited for everybody of what's coming out on the other end of that.
Well, there is no denying what we're going through right now, but we can only, what am I looking for? Our action, our reaction to it is how are we going to react to this? We're either going to move through this, or we're going to have or set ourselves up for massive problems going forward years down the road. And I'm not denying the fact that social isolation for human beings is not a healthy thing. and we all want to
Yeah.
do our part and give our frontline workers the opportunity to get in front of this so they're not overwhelmed. But like you said, like we're human and having a human experience where we're used to hugging people and touching people and shaking hands and kisses on cheeks, and this is who we
Yeah.
are. This is who we are, and we're not. This is because of this, because of living through this. It really hits home with. I can remember coming home from the hospital. I was so grateful. I was
Yeah.
so emotional just for the little things. And
Yeah.
we lose them in the day to day. And now
Yes.
we have that opportunity to reflect on these things. And I think it essentially, at the end of the day, what it does is help build character.
Yes, and it helps you to discover who you are, what you stand for, and what's important. I totally relate to you, Michael. I will never forget the moment I came home after living in rehab for 2 months, and even a couple of weeks we'll do that in hospital, or even 1 week,
Yep.
where you completely have to shut down, but then you come back to your life and you just become so emotional, don't you? And it's such a gift, because just the little things of just being able to sit at the table and be around your loved ones and just have a meal and have moments together means everything. But before the pandemic and before lockdown, we didn't care about, like, we forgot that,
Yes.
that we didn't treasure those moments. And now what I'm really excited about for everybody, as we come out and we have these opportunities just to do these normal things, but in our new normal, it's not normal, it's like a new thing. It is going to bring in so much joy. And so as we spoke about, you spoke about my bio, and
Yep.
I was, it was predicted that I would never walk again. When my toe moved for the first time before I started moving again and the paralysis started to shift, it was after an experience of that. I was out to dinner in my wheelchair, of course, because my twin sister and my beautiful friends wheeled me across the road to the pub, and we had dinner one night.
Mm-hmm.
And this was still when I wasn't, I was still paralyzed on the left-hand side of my body completely. And just sitting at dinner and laughing and forgetting about the 24/7 hell that was my reality just for a few hours meant the world to me. And I just experienced such joy and elation in my body. It was like I was experiencing joy for the first time, and I absorbed it into all of my cells. And there was a shift and a reconnect and a jolt in my head, and I thought, oh, that's weird. Maybe I'm just feeling really happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I came back to my room and my toe moved for the first time that night. And it was in that moment I found hope. And as a result, I started to focus my energy differently, and I began to focus on what I wanted instead of what I didn't want, which is what we do when we're stressed. We go into worst case scenarios and we think of what we don't want, and we go into that whole sabotage cycle, protecting ourselves. So I shifted my focus into what I did want, and that later translated into not only my body moving again, but coming home, deciding that I would change my career from fashion into studying health, becoming a practitioner, sharing my knowledge with others into a life that's what I live now. And I think that when we all come out of this, really pay attention to those moments where you really absorb that joy again. Bottle it, capture it, make it last as long as you can, because as you might remember, Michael, you adapt, don't you? And you get back to your normal, and it's not as joyful. Those first few days are the best, aren't they?
Oh, it was remarkable. And as somebody who has practiced as a chiropractor for 23 years, I am out of the house and don't return home most nights till 8 o'clock. I was overwhelmed by sitting down and having a simple family dinner. I was overwhelmed with joy and gratitude. It was like Christmas morning every time we did it. And
I love it.
That has been one of the great joys of this time is we've had. I'm not exaggerating the point where we've had more family dinners in this 8 weeks than I had in 20 some odd years.
That is so beautiful. I love that. And And that's a gift. That is a gift.
It is absolutely a gift. My daughter is a junior, soon to be a senior in college, so in high school, and she'll soon be going off to university. So this time is growing short. So having this moment, these times with her and my son and my wife, it's just been a blessing.
That connection and that love and that
Yes.
realization of what we do have, what we already have, and get out of that striving mode of more,
Yes.
more.
Yes.
And in contrast to that, for your listeners that have spent this period of isolation without their families,
Yes.
and that was me. So
Yeah.
I went through a separation just maybe 6 months before we went into lockdown, and so I would never think that I would turn 40 and that I would spend this time with a roommate, which ended up being the best thing in the world. It ended up being, and for me, I had a different experience. What I had to do was I had to further find that deeper anchor within myself other than the one I found 11 years ago when I walked again and all these amazing things happened. I was like, oh, there's more work now because I'm a twin and I'm very used to spending time. I'm an extrovert too, so connection and people, and then going through that milestone of, oh my gosh, I'm just been through a separation when I thought we were going to get married, and it's all good. We're friends and we're good, and we had to separate, and that was life. But I had to find that deeper anchor and resilience within myself during this time, which has been scary, awful, and the best gift ever. At the same time.
Absolutely. I am married. I am married to an extrovert, and it was I think an eye opener for her, because I'm very introverted outside of the office. But we have dubbed my wife Denise Queen of Corona, because she has she's basically redone the whole house. She's painted everything. She's got a following on Facebook of folks that like, what are you doing today? Show us. It makes us feel. What FYI project are you doing? And it's been where she has channeled that energy into making her space the way she wants it to be.
And just having projects. I was the same. Like I had to, because I didn't have that connection and that. For all of us, regardless if you're an extrovert or an introvert, I think that getting used to going into lockdown, we had to continue projects because we're so used to being busy and being able to distract ourselves. So I definitely did that at the start. But then now I've really made conscious effort to balance that with, okay, there's a whole bunch of books that I want to read, and I'm just going to sit down for the next few hours with my dogs and just actually stop.
Right.
And that took a lot of conscious effort, which I'm now actually really enjoying. And now that we're coming out, and I know I can go back into my private practice only in 10 days time. And I know that in June I can start going back there. I'm still going to capture and keep aspects of this new lifestyle of spending more time with my friends and family, and even my dogs at home, just making sure that I'm not always so busy as I was before, because I'm actually happier.
Oh, absolutely. It's really interesting because my when we did some values work, our accountability group, two of which are my partners in Beyond Your Wildest Genes, we did a bunch of work on values. My top value is my health, because it's even ahead of my family, because without health, I can't have my family. There's nothing there. So similar to yourself, you've gone through an even more physically demanding issue, where if you had it taken away from you, and when you it's just it sounds corny. I don't know what it is, but when you pop out that other side, you're like, oh my God, I'm so thankful for the sun coming up. I'm thankful for being able to breathe, and that was number one. And I don't know if we if that had not been my top priority, my top value, I don't know if we'd be sitting here now. Like, I don't know that for certain. But
Yeah.
before I was sick, I was walking the dog. I was walking 5 to 7 miles a day. I was exercising hard twice a week. I'm a conscious eater and really,
Mm.
really focusing on what the right foods. I take good supplements. I get adjusted by the other chiropractors. I get acupuncture. I do all these things. And if I hadn't done all that, I
Mm.
don't know when I got sick. If I didn't do those things, we'd be talking.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that how we take care of our health in prevention and just with normal a baseline well-being, and in the same way how I educate my clients with finding that anchor within themselves, and we do the work. It's not just to get through like massive, illnesses or transformation. It's not just for that. It is also, if you're doing this stuff every day, like mind, body, spirit work,
Yes.
when those big changes come, you're prepared and you're more resilient. And that's exactly, I agree with what you said. I think that if you weren't doing that work, leading up to
Yes.
what you went through, it may have played out differently.
And it was a real eye-opener for me in terms of for years in talking to patients, I would say just move. If you can walk to the next
Yeah.
house, if you
Yeah.
have to take a seat and then come back. And literally, that's how I was after I got home from the hospital. I could not walk down the block. I could
Yeah.
walk to the next house, maybe two, and then I had to sit down. My wife was with me. Was like, I can't make it back to the house. I am completely winded, and it put it into the context of we need to. We're in this journey to push ourselves a little bit, to extend ourselves. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting, the physical aspect of it, the I want to say the spiritual part opened up a whole new world as I started meditating. Before this,
Mm-hmm.
I took a really good meditation class, taking it twice a day, and it really made a huge difference in keeping me present and centered.
And that's true. And that's the key is I think that in these joyful moments or when we're more grateful, we come back into the present moment. And, as you said, as you felt like it was corny, but appreciating the sun rising up, what's actually going on in that moment is you're becoming more conscious. And I'm doing work with Carolyn Meese at the moment. She is amazing. She's in her 70s and she's got amazing spiritual courses that she talks about with all of this. And she has this amazing analogy of as we become more conscious, if you think of a building and there's all these different floors, like she talks about the ground floor and then there's the penthouse and all the floors in between. And as we are going through different stages of our lives and becoming more conscious, we're elevating to higher levels of the floor where we can see a higher perspective. We can see further out, understanding all the different reasons of why we're going through what we're going through. And as we elevate to that higher perspective, we can see our obstacles as opportunities, and anything that we can do to bring ourselves back into the present moment is actually our most creative state, where we can innovate and think of more creative solutions and problem solve our way through these changes.
It's amazing when we've done since our initial interview back in October of 2015, and we've probably collectively done over 300 interviews. I want to say
Cool.
we've done quite a few. And it is amazing in talking to people like yourself that have gotten into the health and wellness space because they went through a life-changing event. And
Yeah.
like yourself, they decided that this needed to be bigger than themselves. We are humans. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. So it would have been really easy for Amanda to just say, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and gone about your business. But you didn't do that. You completely changed the industry that you were making a living in to starting something, but what fashion might not have had for you was a passion. And your passion was to help others.
Oh, there was no other choice for me. I don't know what I was like. It's like this knowledge and understanding, I was just gravitated to share it because it brought me so much joy learning all of this and transforming my life like this. I'm empathetic naturally, I guess, and I think some of us are more naturally inclined in this way, and it just felt right. It just felt like my calling. It just felt like my calling. But thanks for pointing that out. And you know what I'd love to share with you is maybe some tips and tools on how I have built resilience in my life through what I've been through, not only in the pandemic but with walking again, for your listeners.
Absolutely. Fire away.
So I believe that resilience is the ability to dig down deep, you know, when things get tough, when life throws change, you know, those moments where we feel like we want to give in and even when the odds are against us. It's the ability to face adversity head on and to discover that light within us that's always there, but it awakens when our challenges force us to go within. And as we've just discussed, this is actually a gift and inevitable in our lives. This change and these events come into our lives no matter what, like it's going to happen. So the best thing to do is to give our mind and body the best environment to be ready and prepared, so we have that inner anchor within ourselves so we don't get brain fragged when huge change. And change can come with separation, with divorce, with illness, with pandemics, with anything, even positive things like the birth of a child. Sometimes this can blow our circuits, huge change. So resilience is the ability to manage our stress and our emotions and our health and therefore our happiness. It's the ability to rebuild our lives and to become our fullest potential and to view our setbacks as a real design that allows us to start to walk on a new path that we're actually ready for, that allows us to become this whole new version of ourselves that might also lead to healing. And so my resilience formula is A minus LG plus F equals R. Now, that is anchor minus letting go plus flexibility equals resilience. So this is my resilience formula. I thought I'd share it with you.
I love it.
Cool. So the anchor is that tree analogy, is like that anchor within ourselves where we know who we are, what we stand for and what we're made of. And we need to go through change and the hard stuff to find that, discover that within ourselves. So if we can view change as a positive thing, a way that we can do that is discovering, that we do have an inner anchor and to look for the answers within rather than externally. When we find that anchor within ourselves, we are more inclined to get out of our comfort zone and to think in new innovative directions. Now, with letting go, the ability to let go of the past and old redundant beliefs and ideas is very much like washing our minds, like we would wash our bodies every day. How do you wash your mind of old stories that, we create stories to make sense of things, and sometimes our stories are relevant in that moment, but, we change and we grow and evolve. And very often when I work with clients, I can see patterns in myself as well where I don't change my mind about an old story that really needs lifting. And I think that's an opportunity that we're all going through in this reflection, is that time to be able to, let whatever needs to come up in this stillness and more silence in our lives, let's be less busy and let whatever comes up, and what comes up is what needs to be transformed. And if we can let go in a more profound way and get really good at that, it allows us to let in more joy, you create space in your life, more comes in. We can let go of judgment, and we can be more of the observer, which is also part of that anchorage, is when things happen, can we be less reactive? And this is what I call the pineapple effect. So my twin sister and I have a word, pineapple, and we need that word because I'm an extrovert, she's an introvert. We're very different people, and couples will find this as well, where sometimes we need a word to just defrag us in that moment, to stop us, to remind us, okay, I need to choose my reaction now because I'm just getting triggered and I'm not being the best version of myself. So you can use the word pineapple, or you can have a wristband. I have a wristband on my next to my bracelets that I wear that says "Bend like bamboo." This is a tool I give my clients, and it allows me to catch myself in my reactions, and I try to not apply unnecessary dialogue to the situation and get lost in the story.
Very good.
So that's letting go, and then plus flexibility. So flexibility in our mindset impacts everything that matters. Our body's ability to repair, how happy and resilient we are, and how connected we feel. And being flexible in our mind and body, that can be through stretching and through movement, through meditation, through journaling. So you really want to learn how to be more malleable in your mind, so you can see from that higher perspective on top of the mountain, or from that penthouse, letting go of our ego, being more open to other people's opinions, and listening more is all about flexibility. And so that's my formula.
I absolutely love it. So you've had a little time on your hands, and you've been using it very productively. That is awesome. You you and your sister use the word pineapple.
We do. And I used to, I use it now. I'm actually going to write a book called The Pineapple Effect, because there's so much about it, because our reactions are really a mirror image of what we're believing, and what we believe is what matters. We all have goals in our lives. We have ideas and goals, but just wanting something is not enough to make it happen. We know that. I really think that what we believe is what matters. And when our beliefs about ourselves and what we believe can be possible aligns with our goals, we can make them happen easier. We can make things happen for ourselves, and we find there's more harmony more harmony in the body, so we're healthier and happier. But for many of us, there's an inner conflict. We have a goal, and we don't believe in ourselves or what can be possible for us. And what I went through allowed me to transform that into alignment. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to lose everything. I had to believe in that moment, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I had to be told, you can't do this. This is the common thinking. These are the statistics. And I had to find that deep anchor within myself to get through. And it was life or death. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is so full on. And so all the steps I had to go through is that, how I came to that formula. And I created that formula really more through the pandemic time, with reflecting on that time and how I applied it to now. And those lessons I learned walking again, I then applied to when I talked to you 5 years ago, and I started Nourish then, and that was my second company that I built, co-founded with a team of people. And that's how I work with businesses with performance is, with my resilience workshops. It's not just about optimizing health. It's how do I perform on top of my game? And this all applies to that as well.
Absolutely. So you are, you have online products, you have online courses that you're teaching now?
Yeah, so that's what I've birthed in this time is I see clients one-on-one in Melbourne in Australia, and I love seeing clients one-on-one. As you know, as a practitioner yourself, there's nothing like that one-on-one interaction. But I can only reach a certain amount of people doing that. And so I have been meaning to write an online course for so long, and I finally did it. So it will be ready in hopefully about 3 weeks' time. It'll be live, and I have, the online course is coming soon, but what I do have up online on my website at the moment are my ebooks, and I talk about the pillars of health, of mindset, body stretches and exercises that help to build this flexibility and help us to process our emotions while we're moving. So mind, body, and food and connection are my pillars of health. And I would love to offer your listeners a special on my ebooks if you would like today.
Absolutely.
So if you just use the coupon code Beyond Your Wildest Genes as all one word, you can get 50% off all of my ebooks. There's an ebook bundle called Optimal Health on my shop on amandacampbell.com.au, and Campbell is Pbell. And I would love to share that with your audience. And it's just happy reading. It's just my work on how important it is, that mind, body, and spirit connection, and how we can use that to build resilience within ourselves to coming out of this time.
That's awesome. We're one-on-one, one-on-one will never, it's a great joy to do that, but we need to either clone ourselves or replicate ourselves, or like you're doing, you do online your online courses. There's really truly never been a better time to be alive, because we couldn't talk about this 50 years ago. But with the advent of the computer and all the technology, the beauty of it is you do get to touch more lives. And we just don't know the impact that's going to have on the world tomorrow. And I think with people like yourself, that we will absolutely be a better place for it.
Yeah, and we're going so much more digital. Everything's becoming more digital now, so we'll see what that looks like in the next couple of years. But we've got to jump on board. We've got to, and make it a positive. It is positive to reach more people globally, I think. And I'm also launching my podcast. I'm definitely going to have you on. You've got to come on, Michael.
Absolutely.
Launching a podcast that'll be live in a couple of weeks too. It's called Connect with Damien and Amanda, and I'm actually doing it with my colleague Damien, who's a nutritionist and naturopath and kinesiologist as well, and we're just bouncing off each other, talking about all relevant topics like we have today. And we're going to feature special guests, so we must have you on.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'd love to return the favor. Is there anything, we're coming up on 40 something minutes. Is there anything you'd like to add before we call it a night?
Just to remind everybody, it's all good. Everything is about to come good.
Yes, it is.
And to really believe that, and what you believe is what matters. And your morning ritual that's my go-to. My morning ritual is what sets me up for the day. And you already have this anchor within yourself. It's just sort of rediscovering it and, looking within with journaling, meditation, whatever works for you. But just get excited, because we are about to embark on the fun stuff, because we live in a world of polarity where you experience adversity and really difficult stuff. Of course, the universe needs to balance that out, and it's going to be real immense gratitude and joy. So get ready. It's going to be good.
Absolutely agree with you across the board. So, folks, if you like what you heard, please go to iTunes or Apple Podcast and leave a review. It helps us to help others find what we do. Amanda, could you tell people where they can find you again in the world?
Oh, yes, thank you. amandacampbell.com.au.
Beautiful. Well, folks, have a great evening. Amanda, thanks again for being on our very first interview. It's always great to talk to you, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
You're welcome. Ciao, everybody.
Hey, guys, and I'm back. Our June supplement of the month is BYWG's Turmeric Boost. Turmeric has been in the news for its surprising effectiveness to manage inflammatory issues and arthritic pain. However, not all turmeric supplementation is the same. Turmeric Boost contains BCM95, which is a patented form of whole turmeric that helps to address the absorption issues by providing a trademarked formula with 700 to 900% better absorption in human clinical trials. In addition, it doesn't require black pepper to be absorbed, which can be sensitive to some patients. We added medium chain triglyceride, MCT oil, to BYWG Nutrition's Turmeric Boost to encourage better absorption. Once again, no fillers, no wheat, no gluten, no dairy, just value, quality, and effectiveness. For the entire month of June, if you use the code DFLAME10, that's lowercase DEFLAME 10, you will receive 10% off this incredible anti-inflammatory aid. You can pick it up at our website at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com or if you're local, at our brick and mortar store. The June 2020 book of the month is Sacred Cow: Why Well-Raised Meat is Good for You and Good for the Planet by Diana Rogers and Rob Wolf. This is the first book of the month that hasn't officially been released yet, but Rob has been a great supporter of BYWG, and we are such huge fans of all his work, we decided to support his pre-release purchase. The book is officially released July 14th. The pre-order purchase code will be in the show notes and in the weekly emails. Our product of the month for June is Lifebook, an incredible life-altering program that all three of us have matriculated through. Lifebook is about you, created by you. It's a one-of-a-kind lifestyle design system that guides you towards your personal vision of success in 12 dimensions of life. These 12 areas are health, fitness, intellectual, character, emotional, spiritual, love, relationship, parenting, social, career, financial, quality of life, and life vision. So comprehensive, so empowering. Check it out via the links in the materials we send out during this entire month. And as always, be awesome and never unawesome.